It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candice Gish. Well, I'm excited, everyone. We're going to be welcoming back Brianna Kuhn, and she's going to be a monthly guest of ours, a special guest, and she's going to be sharing so many tips and tools to inspire all of our amazing listeners. So I'm excited that today is going to be her first day back, and we're going to be chatting about some amazing things that are happening and the things that she wants to address and what's happening in social media. For any of you that have just tuned in for the very first time, a big welcome to you. The Divas That Care is in its 11th season, and it's because of all of our amazing listeners and our amazing guests that have been on our program that we've continued to do this, and we're so excited. You know, there's so many amazing stories out there, and we want to have our platform to provide those stories and to share with all of you guys. So thank you so much for everything that you guys all do out there. All right, well, let's get started. Brianna, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back and be part of the Divas That Care family.
Oh, I'm so excited too. You know, our last show, I was beyond inspired by everything that you shared on social media strategies. And, you know, I thought it was such a great addition to what we want to provide to all of our listeners out there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the reasons why I got into business in the first place is because I do love supporting other people, and especially, you know, in this day and age, I love supporting young entrepreneurs like myself and, you know, educating them on how they can start a business and be their own boss.
I love that, and it is so important. I think that we've all seen that, especially in the last, you know, 16, 18 months. You know, a lot of things have changed around the world in different ways. And I think that being your own boss, being an entrepreneur out there is really the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit instilled in me from a very young age, you know, from my parents, as well as I'm a very independent person. So I've always had that drive. And, you know, I worked in the workforce and I was an employee for a long time. And I always felt that something was kind of missing. And I did enjoy the work that I did in real estate and customer service and sales, but there was always just that one component that for me was just missing. And it wasn't until I started my business where I truly felt fulfilled and satisfied by the work that I was doing.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I've really seen I've seen your website, and, you know, we had talked last time, and I'm blown away by that. And I want to kind of ask you, how important is it to have a very strong social media presence out there?
Yeah, for sure. You know, the way that things have changed even for myself, I've been finding that, yes, it's important to have a website, and it's kind of like an online, you know, business card in a sense. But social media is so important. Before I make any kind of purchase or reach out to someone who's offering a product or service, I look on social media. I see how active they are. You know, I find reviews before I even reach out to the person to get more information about their product. And that's something that I educate and with all of my clients is social media is such a powerful tool. And I know that it can be super overwhelming to learn and stressful to schedule the posts and keep up with the trends and, you know, the analytics and everything that come along with it. But honestly, what I tell everyone is as long as you show up authentically and you're true to who you are, the people will come. I'm all about, putting out that quality content instead of quantity. Your social media will perform.
Oh, I love that. And, I always laugh because when I hear about this, I'm like, the younger generation definitely has a more advantage in regards to social media. So if they are a young entrepreneur, you can see that they are advancing so much quicker because they understand what's going on. And if they use the right tools and they're, like you said, they're authentic and, they're, a lot of positivity and motivate or inspiration out there, I think they will do so much better than perhaps somebody like myself that didn't necessarily grow up with that. It's sometimes more of a struggle to remember to post all the time, even though I have, the tools, I know what I need to do, but it's not something that I honestly think about constantly.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I'm kind of in that weird kind of generational gap in a sense, because growing up, Facebook wasn't a thing until I was like 13, whereas today, everyone and their dog has Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, and it starts from a very, very young age. So I didn't necessarily grow up with social media. It wasn't until I was in, late junior high, beginning of high school. So, I did have to really educate myself on how to use it, and definitely going from like the personal use of social media to a business use of social media.
Yeah. Well, I just love it though. Like, I think that that's really important that you were saying. I've taken some courses. I'll be honest, because I like to learn about things like this. I took a LinkedIn course and I thought, okay, I want to have a better understanding on, how people think, how the young generation thinks, because being a mother of four, I always call them my divas. How are they going to grasp all this and be able to utilize it in a positive way? Because I don't want to overwhelm them, because sometimes social media, I think, can have a negative tone to it. So how do we make sure that it's always a positive experience, or try to teach them in a good way like that?
Yeah, with all the societal issues going on in the last, few months, and there has been a very negative tone to social media, and there's something that's called cancel culture, and you say the wrong thing on social media and you're done.
Yeah.
And usually, it takes a little while for people to forget about it, but until, the next person screws up. But for entrepreneurs, it's really important. I typically tell them, to separate your personal and your business. So all my personal profiles are very discreet and private, and my business ones are public. And I'm very careful what I say on social media, regarding those hot topics. But again, it just goes back to what I said before, is as long as you show up as your authentic and true self, as you do in real life on social media, you shouldn't have a problem.
Oh, I love that. I love that advice, because I think it's hard. People don't understand that there is a little bit of a difference. They sometimes they're constantly posting things, but it might not be good for maybe the brand that they're trying to get out there.
Exactly. And, I find typically when people are having issues with their social media, it's because they're trying to speak to too many. So one of the things to keep in mind is when you are doing a post that you're trying to, let's say, advertise a new course that you're going to be selling online. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to gauge the interest of too many people when you need to speak to one. You need to focus and write your content as if you're speaking directly to one ideal client. And that is the shift you need to make in order to see the results and the engagement that you're looking for. Because when someone's scrolling past that post and they're reading through and you're listing off, all of these different types of people or, their personalities or what they're struggling with, that one specific person might not relate to that. But if you speak to one issue, that person's going to scroll through and read that and be, oh my God, this is exactly what I need to fix this issue that I'm having.
And that's exactly why we need individuals like yourself. And that's why we need to hire people like yourself, because why spend all this time making the wrong posts and not being able to do that and wasting all your time and energy, and having somebody like yourself, because you are a social media strategist, you are a virtual assistant in so many ways. Why wouldn't we want to utilize somebody like yourself that could do that for us and save us so much?
Exactly. And, when I have that initial phone call with a potential client, most of the time they're a little bit hesitant because they're still, a little bit smaller and they're not sure if, they can afford, to bring me on as a team member from a month-to-month basis. But every client that I've worked with, they say it's the best decision that they have ever made because it gives them so much time back that they can work on their business while they allow me to work in their business. And that's one of the philosophies that I preach, is that let me work in your business so you can work on your business and grow your business and continue with the momentum. And the money will come. And all my clients, just seeing the substantial growth that they've made it's so humbling to me, because I'm just so ecstatic that they're able to reach their goals and, really see their business come to life.
I love that. I think it's so powerful. And I like how you were talking about a few tips there earlier. And I want to kind of lead that into, what is your favorite social media platform? Where do you think that, for our listeners today, if they were going to be, focusing on one, because there's so much out there, and I think that's probably part of the problem with people trying to, get their information out there. There's so much, and a lot of people are like, well, which one do I start with? What do I do? Which one is your favorite for people, business people for today, just to kind of get going? And if they master that one, then they could go on to another one.
Oh, I love that question, but it's so hard to answer. Honestly, I love LinkedIn because I think it's so undervalued in people's mind. And I have a funny story about it, actually. When I was in real estate, I had started my LinkedIn account and I had posted a house that was for sale. And within 5 minutes, my dad phoned me and he's like, you need to take this down. This isn't how LinkedIn works. And I was like, Dad, that is how LinkedIn works. It's not, just about connecting and networking with people. You can actually use LinkedIn to sell. And I, hands down, every person that I talk to, they have that same perspective as my dad about LinkedIn. But with LinkedIn, the analytics and the algorithm are so much more in favor of the poster than Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the other platforms combined. And I think a lot of people aren't using LinkedIn to its full potential. And I've realized this gap in the market, you can say. And so I'm actually in the process of creating a course that I'm hoping to get out in the next 3 months that actually educates people on how to use LinkedIn properly and how to sell and book clients through LinkedIn.
Oh, I love that. I know so many contacts that would be very much interested in something like that.
Awesome.
I love it because, there's so much out there. And I've heard that before too. And I love it for the fact that I started taking, LinkedIn offers these amazing courses that people can take. And I
Mm-hmm.
started taking them because I thought, okay, why not? You know, part of my 2021 goals was to do more personal development. You know, I think like a lot of our listeners, you know, 2020 was kind of, okay, what the heck am I doing? I got to figure things out. I'm kind of on survival mode, and I'm not too sure what I'm doing, and I'm trying to navigate all these new waters. I'm like, okay, I've had enough. Let's get going. And when I saw that LinkedIn offered these courses, I thought, okay, here I go. I'm going to start learning that for my personal development on how to, you know, figure out what my new norm is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that I actually show people. So I have an offer that I do where it's a 90-minute coaching session, and it's called Talk Strategy to Me. And we can use it for, you know, discussing social media strategy for your business. We can do it for, you know, any kind of digital marketing or workflow processing, but I find that most people use it for social media. So that's one of the things that I actually show the clients who book those sessions is we log into their LinkedIn and I show them the back end where you can go and sign up for those classes. And if you haven't signed up for it, it's free for the first month. And they have tons of courses. And it's such a good resource for people, and hardly anyone knows about it.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love this. And I love the tips that you're giving our listeners today. This is great. One of the things, you know, we have been talking about young entrepreneurs and the importance of, you know, having them really start their own business. I'm hearing this word all the time now, and a lot of people are using the word side hustle. And I had another guest on a program, I think about a week ago, and she was mentioning about 1 in 5 people have a side hustle. Is this something also like this? These are businesses. Is this something that you help people with, obviously with their social media?
Yeah, you know, more today than ever before. I constantly see, you know, my friends have a side hustle. And, you know, I actually don't really like the word hustle because in my mind, I just relate it to struggle because when you're hustling, it's like you're trying so hard for something, right? And in my mind, it's more about creating another opportunity for yourself to be successful. And you know, there's so many different ways out there to make money. It's just trying to find one that works for you. And, you know, I have friends that are really creative. So they went and, you know, made a vinyl deckling company, and they do T-shirts and cups and Savage and Boo. I'll give them a little shout out. And, you know, I have another friend from high school that, you know, him and his buddy, they decided to start a company for general contracting, and they went and saved up and bought a skid steer. And, you know, and so many of my friends have this entrepreneurial mindset, and, you know, people my age do as well. And there's just so much more drive and motivation to be your own boss and create something for yourself, not been created by someone else and working as an employee. So I love seeing that in so many people and seeing, you know, where the trend is going for people who are creating these side opportunities to make something more for themselves.
I do too. And I love that you are on the top of your game and you are always knowing what's going on out there, and that you're able to assist people and to obviously coming onto our program, sharing the tips and tools that, you know, people can utilize in order to get them going.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I love to do. And I coach people all the time, you know, to create a side opportunity. And, you know, people reach out to me on my Instagram all the time and they ask, you know, I'd love to have a conversation with you about how you started your business and how you started doing what you do. And I'd love being that person that people can reach out to ask those questions, because even last night I was talking with one of my team members, and I have her doing some market research for me, and everyone is so private about their pricing, what their packages all include. And I just had her like scouring the internet, and she could only come up with like 5 that were actually public about what it is that they do and what they charge.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I think that people need to, I definitely agree. Like we got to change that in a lot of ways.
Mhm. And, with me, it's, I don't publicly put my prices out there just because I want people to call me, but I'm very upfront about it. And if they ask, I'm not discreet about it. And, I'm very flexible. I do payment plans because I know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that they can't necessarily afford that cost right up front, but they still really need the help. So I'm extremely flexible, and one of the things that I instilled in my business is that I don't want any of my clients to feel like they're locked in. So there's no requirement that they have to sign up for 3 months minimum. It's, you sign up for 1 month, it goes well, you have a good month, you sign up for the next one, and if you have a bad month and you need to hold off, that's totally okay too.
I think that's great. On your website, you have the option for people to sign up for your newsletter. Can you share that with our listeners? So if any of our amazing listeners out there wants to sign up and be in contact with you and to check out what you're doing, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can sign up for my newsletter through my website, and I love, getting in touch with people, and because my newsletter sign up is a little bit smaller at this point, it is a lot more personal, so I'm able to do those kind of like personal reach outs and be like, hey, like, how's your business going? Is there something that I can help you with? Do you want to book a session to talk strategy with me and figure out how we can move your business forward? And, with my social media even, I love throwing out those little tidbits here and there. And I'm actually working on a freebie as well that I'm going to be making live hopefully by the end of March. That is just packed with tips and tricks for social media and young entrepreneurs like myself.
Oh, I love it. And for all of our listeners, I'm going to be posting all of Brianna's information on all of our social media today, just so that you all have it and you can share it with all your friends and family. Because as Brianna was mentioning, she's going to be on our program on a monthly basis. So next month, hopefully she'll be able to have her free giveaways or her free stuff for all of you too. So Brianna, thank you so much for everything that you've done today. I should ask you, is there any last minute things that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, and I love that I'm going to be able to come back every month. And just following up on what you said, if anyone wants me to speak about something in particular, like, please reach out and, sign up for my newsletter. Contact me through my social media. And, I'm an open book. There's nothing that I won't talk about. So if there's a specific topic that you want me to educate about, please reach out and let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was great, guys. I had so much fun, Brianna. Thank you so much again for being my special guest today. And I'm looking forward to talking with you next month.
Yes, I'm looking forward to coming back as well.
Awesome. And to all of our amazing listeners, thank you so much. If you want to check out some other great guests and great hosts on the Divas That Care Network, go to divasthatcare.com, check out their shows, make sure you share, you follow them, and post a review. All of their shows get rated really high when you're able to do those reviews, so make sure that you do that. Again, thank you, Brianna. Thank you to all of our amazing guests, and make sure that you do something kind for somebody today. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.